Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 movies that led to lawsuits.
You knew all the time and you didn't tell me.
It's Headley Lamar.
The hell are you worried about? This is 1874. You'll be able to sue her.
Got me! Got me!
For this list, we'll be looking at various movies that were subjected to lawsuits for whatever reason. Can you think of any other movies that got in serious trouble? Be sure to sound off in the comments below. Number 20, Straight Outta Compton. 2015 saw the release of F. Gary Gray's Straight Outta Compton, a biopic about the rise, peak, and fall of NWA. One of the major players in the story is the group's manager, Jerry Heller. Heller contested his villainous depiction in the film and claimed that his name and likeness were taken without his permission.
And you can stop acting like you ain't never done nothing wrong.
Look, man, I know that you're upset. I understand. But I'm asking you. I'm advising you. Take a breath, okay?
He filed a lawsuit on October 30th, 2015 in the Superior Court of Los Angeles. However, Heller passed away just 11 months later from a combined heart attack and car accident, with many, including his lawyer and TMZ, insinuating that the stress of the movie and lawsuit had caused him to suffer the heart attack. His suit was dismissed 2 years later. Number 19, The Devil's Advocate. Here's a warning to all future filmmakers. Be really careful that your designs weren't accidentally lifted from something else. When The Devil's Advocate was released in 1997, sculptor Frederick Hart noticed that the sculpture in Milton's apartment looked suspiciously like his ex nihilo, which is adorned on Washington's Episcopal National Cathedral. Both Hart and the cathedral sued Warner Brothers, and a judge claimed that they had a substantial likelihood of winning the case. Warner Brothers settled with the plaintiffs before it went to trial, and they were forced to make digital edits before the movie could be released for sale.
Got me! Got me! Yes! Wow! Oh, yes! Yes!
Copies that were already produced for rental were adorned with a sticker claiming that there was no relation between the movie sculpture and Hart's work. Number 18, Lay the Favorite. In 2012, a Bruce Willis movie called Lay the Favorite bombed hard at the box office, grossing just $1.5 million on a $20 million budget.
Well, what do we do? How do we help him?
There's nothing we can do for him.
What do you mean? What are we gonna do if he goes broke?
Gotta work for somebody else. Take it easy, Beth.
It was later picked up by both Netflix and Amazon, and it was then that map maker Victor Baker pegged it with a lawsuit. Baker makes and sells antique watercolor maps of various locations around the world, and a map of his featuring Curaçao can be seen in the movie. The film partially takes place in Curaçao, as it features sports bettors avoiding American gambling laws. Baker is suing the distributors for statutory damages or the fair market license fee for use of his map. Number 17, Reality Bites. This romantic comedy drama served as Ben Stiller's directorial debut. There's nothing like getting slapped with a lawsuit on your very first movie.
No, wait, hang on a second. Look, do you have like a problem with me or something? Because if you do, let's just get this out, all right?
The story concerns the budding romance between a documentary filmmaker and a floundering young adult named Troy Dyer. Writer Helen Childress admitted on the 10th anniversary DVD commentary that she wrote the film based on her own experiences, forcing a man named Troy Dyer, who had attended school with Childress, to come forth with a defamation lawsuit. According to him, he was approached by many clients asking if he was the basis for the fictional slacker.
Wanted to see if you were okay.
Well, I had a shitty week.
However, the case was settled when Childress proved that Dyer was not the basis for the fictional Dyer. He was Dyer in name only. Number 16, Colossal. This movie stars Anne Hathaway as Gloria, an unemployed alcoholic writer who unknowingly conjures a giant monster who wreaks havoc in Seoul.
You are out of control, and I love you, but I cannot deal with you in that state.
What are you talking about?
Just go with it. The connections to Godzilla are obvious, which certainly wasn't helped by the movie's pitch at the Cannes Film Festival, which featured photos of Godzilla and was described by director Nacho Vigalondo as, quote, the cheapest Godzilla movie ever made. Unsurprisingly, Godzilla's copyright holders, Toho, took Voltage Pictures to court before the movie was even produced. A settlement was eventually reached in which the setting was moved from Tokyo to Seoul, and an agreement that the movie wouldn't feature an obvious Godzilla derivative. Number 15, Couples Retreat. This romantic comedy stars Jon Favreau and Kristen Davis as unhappy high school sweethearts Joey and Lucy Tanzini. In one scene, Joey enjoys himself to an old photo of model Irina Krupnik. Krupnik had previously sold the photo to a stock image company, but she never intended it to be used in the movie's context. As per her lawyer, quote, Krupnik did not contemplate, intend, or consent to the use of her photograph or likeness in a quasi-pornographic context.
It's good for sunburns, right? It's good, yeah? It's good for sunburn?
Okay, so I don't see anything.
She proceeded to launch a defamation suit and demanded $10 million in compensation. But by signing the rights away to the photo, Krupnik lost the ability to dictate how it was used. A judge threw out the case, and Krupnik never saw a dime. Number 14, The Laundromat. In this case, the elite didn't win. The Laundromat concerns the famous Panama Papers scandal, and more specifically, the involvement of offshore financial services provider Mossack Fonseca. Its founders, Jürgen Mossack and Ramon Fonseca, were respectively played by Gary Oldman and Antonio Banderas.
What is a medium of exchange? It could be a nugget of gold or some other shiny rocks that are generally found to be scarce. It could be a slip of paper.
2 days before the film was scheduled to release through Netflix, both Mossack and Fonseca sued Netflix for defamation and attempted to have the film blocked from release.
So, now is the time for real action. It starts with asking questions.
Netflix called the lawsuit a frivolous legal stunt and argued that the movie fell under constitutionally protected speech. A Connecticut judge named Janet Arterton moved the case to California, and the movie was released as planned. Number 13, Happy Death Day.
Why are you doing this to me? Who are you?
King Cake Baby is one of the most famous images in basketball, serving as the mascot for the New Orleans Pelicans.
We ain't got no kids up here. I'm all good, brother. No.
The character was created back in 2009, and nearly 10 years later, a near identical face was used as the killer's mask in Happy Death Day. But that's not the only connection. King Cake Baby is obviously linked to New Orleans, and Happy Death Day was filmed on the campus of New Orleans Loyola University. The mascot's creator, Jonathan Berticelli, realized that the mask bore a striking resemblance to his character, and sued both Universal and Blumhouse for half of the movie's profits. The lawsuit was filed in 2019, and as of this video's publishing, it has yet to be settled. Number 12, American Hustle. This movie concerns a historic FBI sting operation, so it's not really surprising that it was pegged with a lawsuit. What is surprising was that it had nothing to do with the FBI, merely it concerns a microwave. Jennifer Lawrence's Rosalind claims that she read in a Paul Brodeur article that microwaves zap food of their nutrition.
That's bullshit.
It's not bullshit. I read it in an article. Look, by Paul Brodeur. Bring something into this house that's gonna take all the nutrition out of our food and then light our house on fire? Thank God for me.
Brodeur is a real figure and has written extensively about microwave radiation, but he never claimed that they suck nutrition from food.
Brodeur filing a $1 million libel, slander, and defamation suit against the movie's production companies, including Columbia Pictures, saying the film attributes his name to a scientifically unsupportable statement.
He told the court as much in his lawsuit, claiming that the movie defamed and portrayed him as a fearmonger. However, a California appeals court stated that the movie was a, quote, farce, and that audiences were led to mistrust anything that the unhinged Rosalind claimed. Number 11, The Wolf of Wall Street. Real people can be touchy about how they're depicted in movies.
How? I mean, I had skipped the tingle phase and went straight to the drool phase.
In this case, it wasn't Jordan Belfort who had a problem, but one of his ex-employees, Andrew Green. He contends that the character of Nikki Koskoff, played by PJ Byrne, was based on him, and that the movie portrayed him as, quote, a criminal, drug user, degenerate, depraved, and or devoid of any morality or ethics. The defamation case lasted over 4 years before it was thrown out due to a lack of proof. Defamation cases are notoriously hard to win, as plaintiffs must prove both intentional malice and the character's direct relation to them. As Koskoff was a composite character with little direct relation to Green, he was not able to prove correlation.
I feel like you're addressing me right now, but you're not, are you?
Number 10, Tears of the Sun. This Bruce Willis-led action thriller concerns a Navy SEAL team sent to rescue a United States citizen from the jungles of Nigeria. Action movies are tricky to film, owing to all the dangerous stunts and pyrotechnics, and sometimes things go wrong. In this case, things went wrong for the movie's star.
You knew all the time and you didn't tell me.
I didn't trust you.
Willis was reportedly hit in the head by an unidentified projectile during one of the movie's action scenes, resulting in extreme mental, physical, and emotional pain. He sought financial damages and compensation, as he was, quote, required to employ physicians and other medical personnel to treat his unspecified injury. He claimed that the special effects team acted negligently and exposed the crew to ultra-hazardous activity. Number 9. Frozen. This incredibly popular Disney film was subjected to not one, but 2 lawsuits.
Well, now they know.
We'll talk about the more serious one first. In 2017, musical artist Jaime Sierra sued Disney for copyright infringement, claiming that Let It Go borrowed heavily from his song Volar. However, the statute of limitations on copyright claims had run out, and the case was let go in May 2019.
Let it go, let it go.
The goofier one involves author Isabella Tanakumi, who claimed that Frozen plagiarized her self-published memoir, Yearnings of the Heart. She was looking for $250 million in damages. Not surprisingly, District Judge William Martini threw the case out of court, hilariously stating, quote, the 2 stories are entirely different, and claiming that themes are not covered under copyright. Number 8. 12 Monkeys. Apparently, Bruce Willis is a living, breathing lawsuit magnet. In the very beginning of 12 Monkeys, Willis's James Cole is interrogated on an elevated chair while some weird futuristic sphere probes him for weakness. Like The Devil's Advocate, this room and setup bore striking similarities to another piece of work, this one being a close approximation of architect Lebbeus Wood's neo-mechanical tower upper chamber. And just as The Devil's Advocate would have gone had Warner Brothers not settled, Woods won the case. He was awarded a high 6-figure settlement from Universal Pictures in exchange for his work's use in the film, and the end credits claim that the interrogation room was inspired by the architectural work of Lebbeus Woods. Number 7. Avatar. James Cameron's Avatar was a technical marvel, but its story was very derivative. So derivative, in fact, that it was subjected to numerous lawsuits. No more than 6 separate writers claimed that Cameron snatched their ideas or aspects of their published stories for the movie. Some cases were more substantial than others, and many of these lawsuits were eventually dropped.
It's all over.
Nothing's over while I'm breathing.
But it wasn't just the story that proved controversial. The physical design of Pandora drew the attention of artist William Roger Dean, who claimed that Cameron stole aspects of his paintings, most notably the Hallelujah Mountains sharing similarities with his work Floating Islands. However, a judge threw the case out, claiming, quote, plaintiff does not have a monopoly on the idea of floating or airborne land.
And we will show the sky people that they cannot take whatever they want. And that this is our land!
Number 6. The Hangover Part II. The first Hangover was a universally beloved comedy. The second one was far more divisive, and it was subjected to 3 separate lawsuits. One involved Louis Vuitton suing over a knockoff handbag seen and referred to in the film, claiming it was trademark dilution. They lost that one.
Careful, that is a Louis Vuitton.
The second involved stuntman Scott McLean, who suffered a horrible and debilitating brain injury while filming a car stunt. That case was settled out of court. Finally, Stu's mock Mike Tyson face tattoo was subjected to a copyright infringement case by Tyson's tattoo designer S. Victor Whitmill.
That's good. Why don't you try to wash it off?
It's not coming off!
This case too was settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. Number 5. Die Hard 2. Product placement is all too common in blockbuster movies. As the budget for Die Hard 2 increased, Fox and Black & Decker reached an agreement. The power tool manufacturer would fork over $20,000 in exchange for John McClane using their latest tool, the Univolt cordless drill, on screen.
This is a first. Yeah, well, Holly told me I should wake up and smell the 90s.
The company was excited about the promotion and even created a tie-in marketing campaign around the tool. However, the scene was cut from the final edit without Black & Decker's permission, and the company was cheesed. They sought $150,000 in damages and won, with 20th Century Fox settling out of court.
Jeez, McClane, you all right? You want a medic?
McClane, what the hell you think you're doing out there, huh? Playing John Wayne? How'd you like to spend the rest of the night in his cell?
But the best part about this story, Black & Decker never actually paid the agreed-upon $20,000. Number 4. Blazing Saddles. Hedy Lamarr was a popular Hollywood actress throughout the late 30s and 40s, starring in movies alongside Clark Gable and Jimmy Stewart. In Blazing Saddles, Harvey Korman plays a character named Hedy Lamarr. You see the issue. Lamarr sued Warner Brothers over misuse of her name for $100,000, about $500,000 today. Director Mel Brooks decided not to fight it, and Warner Brothers settled out of court for an undisclosed, albeit admittedly small sum.
Consider it done, stout fellow.
They also issued a tongue-in-cheek apology for almost using her name. This lawsuit is even winkingly referenced in the movie itself by Brooks's character, the Governor.
Thank you, Hedy, thank you.
It's not Hedy, it's Hedy Lamarr.
The hell are you worried about? This is 1874. You'll be able to sue her.
Number 3. Back to the Future Part II.
Marty! You've got to come back with me. Where? Back to the future.
Sometimes cases prove so important that they change the way filmmaking is done forever. Case in point, the replacement of Crispin Glover in Back to the Future Part II. Glover was asked to return as George McFly, but reportedly demanded too much money. Rather than bow to his demands, the producers told him to make like a tree and get out of here, and replaced him with actor Jeffrey Weissman. Weissman wore various prosthetics to make him look like Glover, resulting in a lawsuit in which the real Glover claimed that they had used his likeness without his permission.
What if we don't succeed?
We must succeed.
The case was settled out of court, and various clauses were inserted into the Screen Actors Guild, claiming that actors' likenesses cannot be replicated. Number 2. Rocky.
What you think about when the 15th round you're coming out?
It's claimed that Sylvester Stallone was inspired to write Rocky after watching a boxing match between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner, in which Wepner went 15 rounds before losing in a technical knockout. Apparently, Wepner was okay with this fact for over 25 years, but something snapped in 2003 that inspired him to launch a lawsuit against Stallone. He sought $15 million, claiming Stallone used his name to, quote, promote the Rocky movies for commercial purposes without his consent and without compensation.
Prime. What about my prime, Nick? At least you had a prime. I ain't had no prime, I ain't had nothing.
The suit was settled out of court for an undisclosed sum in 2006, the same year that Rocky Balboa was released. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Borat. Is this the most sued movie ever? Let's go through the list. The villagers of Glad, Romania sued, claiming that the movie made them look incestuous.
She's my sister.
A South Carolina resident claimed that Sacha Baron Cohen made crude comments about him.
Give me a smile, baby. Why angry face?
Well, what you're saying is very demeaning. Do you know the word demeaning?
No.
Driving instructor Michael Snixa sued over the use of his image in promotional material. The man who runs away from Borat in New York sued over public ridicule and humiliation. 2 of the frat brothers launched a defamation lawsuit. Singer Esma Rejapova sued over the use of her song, even though the filmmakers had received permission. Funnily enough, this was the only lawsuit to kind of win, as she had not been notified by her production house. She was awarded just 26,000 euros of her 800,000 euro suit. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.